Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch. Twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Got a busy weekend. On Friday, that's tomorrow, we've got an Impact.
That is tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. The week just goes by so quick.
Just flies by. I mean, like, once we get past basketball, the rest of the week just flies on by.
Flies by.
Flies by.
Yeah, so we've got Impact and SmackDown, sort of a dual watch-along situation tomorrow. It's Bound for Glory. And we've got... we should do... we have tomorrow's Friday show. We'll do our predictions on our Friday show.
For Bound for Glory. And then we should do our Extreme Rules predictions tonight after Smash Zone and get them up on Friendo Club.
We'll do that as well. Saturday, of course, we've got Extreme Rules. And we've got right after Extreme Rules. I don't know who has it worse. Have you noticed that ACW champion Alpha Zoe, he's got a show in the Bay Area in San Francisco that has the same bell time as the ACW show. I appealed to him on Twitter. I said, look, we'll get you a helicopter. We need you here in Sacramento for the main event. Hopefully he's like, he's opening the show, special attraction, ACW champion Alpha Zoe, opening the show there on Saturday, and then closing it out, ensuring that we get to purchase Action Coast Wrestling. We're planning on being there for that main event. We're going to be there, man.
Yeah. I mean, we'll finish up our duties here at Going In Raw, and then off we go.
Helicopters waiting for us. So that's going down. And then
I don't think we need a helicopter. It's like a 15-minute drive.
So I think there's probably maybe tickets still available for Action Coast Wrestling. If you're like, yeah, no, I want to watch some live wrestling. Can't make it to Extreme Rules. I'm in the Sacramento area. Eventbrite, Action Coast Wrestling. It might still be listed under Action Coast Empire. I'm not sure. Just put in Action Coast. It'll show up.
Yeah, I know it should show up.
Anyways, so we got a packed weekend. Hopefully you'll join us for some or all of that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about drama. You want to talk about drama?
Sure, let's talk about some drama. Of course, last night, Fightful broke the news shortly after Dynamite went on the air that Andrade and Sammy Guevara. Thank you, Steve. Got into a backstage scuffle after they were beefing on social media days prior. It's all kind of stemmed from Andrade doing an interview with Mas Lucha where he talked about Sammy being upset about how hard he was being hit in the ring. Anyways, so today we're getting some more details on how shit went down. So Fightful added this morning that both men had been warned prior to arriving at the venue yesterday, don't fight. And they told management, not fighting.
No problem.
And yet, fighting happened.
Yeah.
However, sources told Fightful that when Andrade arrived at the venue, he waited for Sammy and threw, quote, a couple punches before the scrap was broken up. Dave Meltzer offered up some more potential details in the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, saying that he consistently heard from his sources that Guevara didn't throw any punches, didn't even fight back. Even after Andrade started throwing hands, one source told Meltzer that Andrade spun Guevara around. Sammy pushed him, and that's when Andrade started pushing. Apparently, like the early narrative that went out to TMZ and such was more so from Andrade's point of view. That's one thing Meltzer said. Meltzer also said this as to why Andrade decided to escalate the beef with Sammy from arguing to fisticuffs. Meltzer speculated, and these transcripts come from Wrestling Inc. This is Meltzer's opinion. Quote, Andrade's trying to get fired. We all know that. I don't think we all know that, Dave. So far, he hasn't succeeded. When guys want to leave, some will go to great extremes to do that. It's happened at WWE. Now the situation is on the other front where there's a few people, and it's not that many. It's like 3 that want to leave. There's different stories and whatever, and Andrade is one of them.
So when we backtrack, and, even I had tweeted this out, Dave Meltzer had tweeted this out, something similar. Couldn't this have been prevented? Seemingly, they did everything they could short of sending. Well, look, okay, what are you going to do? Send security out there? If both men have said, no, it's cool, we're going to come in and talk about this. If both men have said that, then do you still go overboard and say, hey, send security out there and make sure you intercept them, make sure they don't dodge you so that they can find each other?
Dude, a month ago, like, Kenny Omega was getting bit in the locker room.
Yeah.
Yes, you have them escort into the building, and you have him brought to Tony Khan's office. You talk it out right then and there. You don't say, hey, you just don't send a warning, hey, don't fight, please.
Yeah,
you make sure it doesn't happen.
Okay, but hold on a second. Here's the thing. Look, it's easy to say that, but at the same time, and I'm defending this situation because I feel like at the same time, it's not like CM Punk said, yeah, I'm not going to beef with these guys. I said what I have to say. I'm not going to beef. And Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are like, oh, we're not going to do that. If you got an agreement from both men, from both guys, no, it's fine. It's cool. We'll talk it out. And then one of them, in bad faith, was lying the whole time. I don't know. I kind of feel like, really? We needed to send armed security out there?
I don't think you necessarily need armed security, but you should. I understand the circumstances are completely different. I'm not trying to compare the circumstances of Brawl Out, Scrum Gate, Muffin Mania, the Gripe Bomb with this. I'm not. But given what just happened a month ago, I'm not. Given what happened a month ago, I'm sure Tony Khan maybe didn't expect violence to ensue once he walked into the all-out media scrum, and yet it happened. I don't know, you got to prepare for any eventuality, especially when they both say on social media. I understand it's easy to text them, do a group text and say, hey, guys, let's be cool, don't fight. And they just be like, yeah, sure. All right. But you got to have someone around just to make sure shit doesn't hit the fan.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Look, you and I, we don't know the placement of people where they were. I mean, obviously, Andrade didn't pummel the shit out of Sammy Guevara. Somebody broke this up. Somebody was there to make sure that it didn't get beyond a couple punches. So that much is there. I just don't know how much, people can criticize. And I was one of them yesterday. I'm just saying, if you have an agreement, you can't expect, and maybe going forward now he understands, oh, you can't, DTA, don't trust anybody, but I don't know that's, man, you don't know what's going to happen until you're in this situation. And even though like a completely different situation led to a fight a month ago, I don't know that you're going to expect it this time around is my point. So yeah, I think for people who say, oh, this totally could have been prevented, it seems like steps were taken. What we always criticize him for, communicate. He did that this time. Tony Khan did that this time. He communicated.
Well, someone did. Yeah.
And he got, somebody did. And they got an agreement. Yeah, no, it's cool. No. We're going to come in and talk. And then Andrade decided, nope.
Throw hands.
Psych.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to wag my finger at Tony Khan and said, how dare you do nothing. He did something, and I appreciate that. Same time, though, you see what they're saying on social media. This has been like just a long string of backstage beefs.
Yeah.
Some of which have turned violent or on the verge of violent.
Yeah.
Just eliminate the idea that any violence is going to happen. Just say, rather than maybe text them or call them and say, like, hey, guys, no fighting. Just say to them, hey, when you get to the arena, you're going to check in with security, and someone's going to bring you to my office. And we, the three of us, are going to sit down and talk about this. That's my point.
If rather than just being,
are you going to fight? No, fine.
If one guy is intent on getting fired, he was intent.
Well, that's what Meltzer says.
On punch. Yeah, but dude, I'm sorry. I'll put it this way. You're right. If one guy is intent on punching another guy, he'll say and do whatever it takes. I'm not sure if you have, hey, check in with security. Andrade shows up. There's security. I'm not checking in with them. I'm going to go around the other way.
Possible. That's entirely possible. I'm saying if you want to minimize the chances of this going violent, you have them escorted right into Tony Khan's office as soon as they show up. And Tony Khan, also from my vantage point is Tony Khan assuming more of a leadership role other than like, you're going to fight? No, cool. Like,
well, come on. We don't know that was the extent of it. I mean, there might have been a long hashed out chat message that Andrade's laughing his way through. We don't know. But my point is, it seemed like it was a little less preventable. It's not like nothing was done. There seemed to be some communication.
I'm not disputing that because I think last night when we got the first word of it, we were like, how could they have just done nothing considering what just happened? Right. And that I agree with.
Some stuff
that happened. I agree with you. Yeah. But given what has happened, like, I feel like you have to just not be a situation where you reach out and be like, hey, you guys aren't fighting, right? No, all right, fine, carry on. Like, you got to be a little more proactive about this
Listen
stuff
to you, Mr. Martial Law here.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
everybody's on lockdown now.
You've had 2 high-profile instances of late of people beefing backstage, and to some degree, it turning violent.
Yeah.
And if you even sense that this could go in that direction, you can't just be like, hey, you guys aren't going to fight, right?
Promise.
You know, you gotta be proactive about that. And Tony Khan, as the leader, has to step up, get those guys in a room, and tell them, all right, are you going to work this out? No, all right, then get out of here.
So let's talk about what happens next. You got to fly too. I got to fly in my office. What the hell? What happens next? Okay, so Andrade, intent on committing violence. He's apparently part of Eric Young's new group. He come in with a yellow hoodie. Intent on committing violence. Let's say Meltzer's opinion and speculation. Let's say there's some validity to that.
All right.
This dude is going to be a menace until he's let go. How do you handle that?
I mean, if Andrade's intent, if this is a massive if, this is just based on what Meltzer said. We have no information to back this up whatsoever. If Andrade is intent, well, it's interesting because in that Mas Lucha interview, he's talking about his contract, and he's like, "Yeah, I like my contract. The schedule's better. I just wish I was doing more." It didn't necessarily sound like someone who was chomping at the bit to get out of there.
Yeah, right. And he even criticized. I know it's the old schedule; it's not really like that now, but he criticized WWE's inhumane schedule.
Yeah.
Too many dates.
So, anyways, but let's disregard that and assume that yes, he wants out. If he wants out and he's willing to. And if he just said to someone in management, whether it's Tony Khan or Chris Daniels or someone, yeah, I'm not going to fight, and then come to the arena and start throwing hands at Sammy, I mean, you have to let him go. If the attitude is, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get out of here, as you said, you can't have that menace backstage.
You don't think that establishes, and this is for the sake of conversation because I don't even know if I have the answer, but like, don't you think that establishes a gnarly precedent? If somebody here's the thing about Andrade. I don't believe for a second that Andrade is a needle mover to any great degree. I think if he goes to WWE, I don't think their ratings are going to jump up 300,000 or anything like that. I think that Andrade is a guy who we haven't really seen his full potential be unlocked. Maybe we saw some of that in NXT, but I think there was a lot more to offer.
Yeah, I think we are on the verge of seeing his potential unlocked in NXT, but I don't think we saw.
But if he just shows up in WWE, I'm not saying he's going to be just another guy. I also don't think he's going to be dethroning Roman anytime soon. Maybe he'll be like a mid-card champion type guy, going forward. But I don't think it's as big a coup as some people might think it would be. If you're WWE, do you even bother with a guy who, you've got a good relationship, but he's also shown that if he doesn't want to be in a place, he's going to make a trouble for you. And number two, what would then happen if an actual needle mover wanted out and was like, I want to go to WWE because the grass is greener over there. I'm going to start throwing hands with everybody I see. Oh, there's Sammy Guevara. I'm going to deck him. Do you don't think that letting Andrade go establishes a bad precedent for other talent?
Well, I don't know if it'd necessarily be a bad precedent. I think if if there's a line in the sand drawn where if you escalate something to violence, then you're going to face the consequences for it. And basically any other line of work except for maybe professional sports, if you get in a fight at work, you're fired.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing though. Like that's a good example. Except professional sports, where there are other teams that are interested in your services.
Yes, and I understand that. And sometimes if the fight is bad enough and the player isn't a superstar, they get cut anyways. It does happen from time to time.
Sure, yeah, but if you are a superstar, which in this day and age,
you get a lot more latitude. Absolutely, you do. I know. I understand that. But seemingly the AEW locker room after Brawlout seemingly kind of got into a better place.
Sure.
When they had that talent meeting with Mox and Danielson and Jericho, and it seemed like, all right, let's tighten things up. Let's stop with the leaks. Let's stop with the beefing, and let's just move on and let's produce a better show. And then this happens, And I mean, when there's an instance where a talent just does not want to be somewhere, I'm usually of the opinion, then just, and I know it might not be a sound business decision. If there's a talent that just absolutely does not want to be there, and will make it known, and will do potentially deck somebody to try to find a way out, just let him go. That's just kind of I understand the downside from a business perspective, but in total, are you doing more damage to your company rather than good? Keeping them versus letting them go. That's really the proposition you have to tell yourself.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that no one person is so big that you keep them around. I think that, number one, again, if you take a look at AEW's numbers this week, did over 1 million again. I thought it seems like a good number for them. Seem to be on the right path, and they still don't have the Elite. They still don't have CM Punk. Maybe there was some interest because of this stuff, but I kind of feel like the people who know about this stuff.
This news broke. Yeah, this news broke like actually during the show. I haven't seen the quarter hours yet. But
those people would have been watching anyways. Probably, So it seems like the interest in AEW does seem to be hopefully on the upswing, because I want the company to succeed, and I think it will. Yeah. But yeah, I think that the lesson is there's no one person, bigger than most. And on top of that, if you're going to be such a dick and initiate this stuff, you got, as a consumer, look, do I like Andrade? Yeah, I like Andrade. Do I find it mildly amusing that he's so he's kind of off the wall like this? A little bit, yeah. But if I'm Tony Khan, I'm like, I don't want that element of my company. If WWE wants to take that, then that's the risk they're taking. Mm-hmm. But I also don't know that you don't pull a Vince and just freeze them. It's like, hey, if you're going to do this, I'm not going to grant you what you want. I'm going to punish you. You're going to stay home, and whatever contractually speaking I can do, I'm going to do. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Andrade at this point. I don't know if he'll get the message. I don't know if there's anything Tony Khan can do him contractually that he'll give a damn about besides sitting him at home and then saying, hey, after whatever, a month or whatever, do you want to come back and work? Check in with security when you get here, because that's the only way you're going to be allowed back in the building.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen. Like, there really hasn't been a precedent set in this regard. I mean, the precedent that's been set is Eddie Kingston was suspended a couple of weeks for Pie Face and Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pie Face and is there's considerable distance between Pie Face and someone and throwing a couple punches.
And decking them, yeah. Especially after you said you're going to be tranquilo about things.
Yeah, you won't come in and be professional about it. Yeah. I mean, that's what Andrade tweeted. I'm not going to come in and hit you. I'm a professional. And he comes in and hits them, apparently.
Como did he say? Psych.
But I mean, all this, and you mentioned this last night when we first talked about this news. Explained why Sammy Guevara was still on the show and Andrade was at home, assuming this is an accurate narrative of what happened.
Yeah, right.
If Sammy was minding his own business, Andrade rolls up to him and starts throwing hands.
Mm-hmm.
And even if Sammy did push him, like if Andrade comes up and spins him around and is acting aggressive and Sammy pushes him, that's understandable,
Oh, that's keep away from me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then Andrade starts throwing hands. Okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, you can still have the debate whether Sammy should have been in the main event. Because all this at the time still served as a distraction.
It did. You got to ask yourself, okay, what is better? Where are your priorities? Your priorities should be telling Daniel Garcia's story, not, hey, Sammy, you know what? Feel bad about what happened to you. You got run down publicly, and now this dude threw some punches at you. So you're going to pick up this win tonight. I don't know, because that whole story hadn't been out there, and the crowd was giving Sammy so much shit. If all this stuff, if the truth, or what we know as the truth here, had gotten out, the crowd wouldn't have been giving him the shit, I don't think, that they were giving him last night, because of what we know.
Probably not, but I don't know if the crowd is really inclined to give Sammy the benefit of the doubt.
They're not. No, of course they're not. But at the same time, now at this point, I'm like, okay, Sammy seemingly acted accordingly. Do I want to see him on my TV? No, but I don't think the guy should be punished. I don't think he should have not been in that main event. Maybe not given the spotlight that he was given. But I don't know. It's Tony's company. He could do what he wants. He's aiming for that Meltzer Booker of the Year, man.
I guess maybe just aim for consistently good television, Tony, and maybe the Booker of the Year award will follow.
Oh man! All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Larson.
What's that, Steve?
We've been seeing more and more professional athletes speaking out about the importance of mental health these days. And there's been several top stars who have taken time away to tend to their own mental well-being. But professional athletes are not the only ones who need to take care of their mental health. And therapy is the best way for anybody to stay in peak mental shape.
Yeah, I was there myself about 20 years ago in my mid-20s. I started dealing with severe anxiety, and it got to the point where I realized that I needed to go to therapy. But back then, finding the right therapist was difficult, and it took me quite a while. But once I found someone I felt comfortable talking to, I started learning the tools necessary to better deal with my anxiety. Now, BetterHelp is a great option because it makes that process of finding a therapist much more convenient and accessible. The whole process is done online, so you don't have to leave your house, and all you got to do to get connected with a therapist is fill out a quick survey. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time.
So when you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
And let's get a word from our sponsor, ExpressVPN. So, Steve.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware of this, that anytime you go online without using a VPN, your internet service provider can see every single website you visit, and then they can go sell that information to ad companies and tech giants without your permission, and then those ad companies and tech giants use that data to target you.
Darn it. Those ad companies and tech giants can try to target me, Larson, but they won't be able to because I use ExpressVPN. You see, when I fire up ExpressVPN, my internet provider cannot see my online activity because my data has been encrypted by ExpressVPN to maximize my protection. And it's easy to use. All you got to do is fire up the app, click on one button to connect, and it works on all my devices, my phone, my laptop, heck, even on my router.
Yeah, man, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it when I search to see how much, I don't know, like a waffle iron costs, and then I'm just inundated with waffle iron ads whenever I go online. But you know what, Steve? When I use ExpressVPN and then I search to see how much a waffle iron costs, guess what I don't get?
What's that? Waffle iron ads?
You got it. That is right. I see no waffle iron ads. So secure your online activity by visiting expressvpn.com/GIR today. That's expressvpn.com/GIR, and you can get 3 extra months free. expressvpn.com/GIR. Before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, Raycon. Steve, I don't know if you know this.
What?
In fact, I did it today. Most mornings, I try to get a workout in before we start working, and I like to listen to some music to pump myself up. I'm trying to make some gains. I did legs today. It felt great. And lately, I've been listening to a lot of stuff from the 90s, like Pavement, My Bloody Valentine, a little Sonic Youth, and it sounded better than ever through my Raycon wireless earbuds.
I know you love some stereo MCs, man, and Raycon's everyday wireless earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. They've got a great in-ear fit thanks to optimized gel tips, and I understand you're going to perform a demonstration of that fit right now. Isn't that right, Larson?
Yes, you're going to see how these earbuds are going to stay connected to my head. I'm going to shake my head, and these earbuds, these Raycon wireless earbuds will not budge. Take a look. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go. Oh, my God. He's shaking his head. Look at up and down, left and right. Those Air Raycons are not going anywhere. They're staying inside that giant head of his. Raycon wireless earbuds also offer three sound profiles that match up to your audio experience to whatever you're listening to. If you're into podcasts like Going In Raw, for example, then put your Raycon wireless earbuds on the pure sound profile. But if you're listening to some rock, switch over to the balanced profile. Or if you're listening to some hip-hop or EDM, like stereo MCs, switch to the bass profile.
And Raycon wireless earbuds also offer 2 different modes. Noise isolation for when I want to block out the outside world and rock out while lifting some weights. Or awareness mode for like when I'm listening to a podcast or music in the background while I'm getting some stuff done around the house.
And Raycons are priced right. You get that quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. So go to buyraycon.com today and use code RAW15 to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's code RAW15 at buyraycon.com to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com, code RAW15. So yeah, there might be some. Hold on, I got a good transition. There might be some changes coming to AEW. Let's talk about some commentary changes at WWE, Larson.
Yeah, so we got the season premiere of SmackDown tomorrow. Gosh, tomorrow's Friday already.
Dude, I'm telling you, time is going by too quick.
Really is. In advance of that, Variety reported today, and since confirmed by WWE, that they are changing up the commentary teams on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT starting this Friday. So Michael Cole and Wade Barrett will be helming the commentary booth for SmackDown. Kevin Patrick, Corey Graves will be doing the same Monday Night Raw, and then Vic Joseph will be joined by, Booker T.
Can you dig it, sucker?
On NXT. So
Black Snow, baby.
Byron is being moved from commentary. He'll be doing interviews alongside the returning Kathy Kelly. That's awesome. Kathy Kelly's coming back.
That is really cool, yeah.
But with this shakeup, it means apparently that Jimmy Smith is finished with WWE. Smith took to Twitter, comment on his departure, saying, quote, "Just wanted to say now the story is officially out that my time with WWE is officially done. Had a lot of fun. I met some great people. Really and truly blown away by the acceptance from the WWE fans. You folks made it work every week. Make it work every week, and your enthusiasm was amazing." I thought Jimmy did, all told, a pretty solid job. He didn't detract from the matches. I don't know if he added a ton, but part of play-by-play, I feel like, is relaying in kind of basic terms the story that's playing out in the ring, and to get the analysts to really fill in the picture from there. You know?
Yeah.
And from that vantage point, I thought he did fine.
Oh man, I thought he was fantastic. I really hope. I hope this was Jimmy Smith's decision to step away, maybe because he's got a podcast. I hope it was his decision and not WWE's, because I kind of liked his work. I'll be honest with you. I think, look, I like Kevin Patrick doing the backstage stuff. Hopefully he's going to be good on commentary. But like, if given a choice, given what I know between both guys, if I had a choice between Kevin Patrick and Jimmy Smith, I'd go with Jimmy Smith. I thought especially the thing about Jimmy Smith, they were really developing a decent chemistry, those three. And especially as it pertains to when more outlandish things, what I always picked up on this, whenever more outlandish things would happen and Corey would be beside himself, he'd be like, "Guys, can't you see what's happening here?" Jimmy Smith would be like, "Yeah, it's crazy." Like, he'd always intentionally undersell it to make Corey even more infuriated. And I thought that was a nice little subtle sort of, growth of chemistry we saw between all three of those guys. And I thought Jimmy did add everything you needed to add to solid play-by-play. I thought it was a big contrast between a guy who took away so much with Adnan Virk, who I thought was awful in that role. And I thought Jimmy Smith came in. He made himself invisible when he needed to be invisible, and he added to it when he needed to. So
thank you. That's what I was trying to say is like the old adage about baseball is like, if you don't notice an umpire, they're doing their job.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like for play-by-play for wrestling, that's kind of the thing is they kind of guide you through the story being told, and then you got your Corey Graves or your Pat McAfee to fill in the rest. Part of it is play by play. You're saying this move to that move, this happened. Oh wow, this here. Why is this? And then you got, Corey or McAfee or Booker T that'll explain the why.
Yeah. No, Jimmy, he knew his moves. He knew how to guide the story. I thought he was good, and so yeah. Hopefully. He finds whatever it is. I mean, the dude has got a killer resume, so I'm sure he'll end up doing whatever he wants to do.
And one thing that he did a good job at, and I know that's probably one of the reasons they brought him in, was to make it feel more like a sporting event.
It totally did, yeah.
And he achieved that, week after week marvelously. So I don't know what Kevin Patrick's background is. If his background's in sports broadcasting or it is. He was doing the soccer stuff. I think like studio shows. I think. I think that's what his background is. When I remember reading that when he was hired, but I could be completely wrong. My memory is awful.
Yeah, sure.
It's interesting that Vic Joseph is staying in NXT because I think he's really, really good.
I think he's really good, yeah, as well. I would not have been sad to see him move up to main roster as well. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Booker T. He's one of our favorites.
Can't wait.
And I'll be honest with you, anything right now that'll help the NXT product, I welcome. We cover it on a weekly basis, which means we're required to watch it on a weekly basis. Yeah. And as much as Wade is good, and I'm looking forward to seeing Wade on SmackDown, and I hope when Pat comes back, they just add him to the booth and not get rid of Wade somehow, some way. But yeah, no, Booker T doing commentary on a bunch of new kids is going to be outrageous. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be really good. I think Vic, I think Vic Joseph doesn't know what he's in for, and it's going to be awesome. And I think it's going to be entertaining as hell. And yeah, it's funny. Like when I woke up this morning, White Brownie, one of our friendos, had sent me a tweet about this, and that's how I got broke to me. And he said, finally a reason to watch NXT. I was like, there's nobody in commentary that can then make me want to. Well, Booker T is that.
Yeah.
I just wish it was Smack. Could you imagine if they had Cole, Booker, and Pat McAfee all on SmackDown together?
That'd be amazing.
That would be outstanding.
Amazing. That'd be so good.
Well, maybe we'll get it one day. Maybe they're on that path.
Maybe. While we're talking NXT, we had an NXT on Tuesday. A new look for NXT. Gone is the color vomit. Now it's just all kind of yellow and kind of orange.
Well, still very bright. It's like the base is white. And now it's like a creamsicle. It's kind of like what we got here a little bit more yellowish. Yeah, it's not a huge departure. The vibe is still the exact same.
Roughly the same. The barricades are different.
The barricades are different. I think there's a little bit of a difference in the entrance, but I can't really nail it down. Maybe I'm wrong.
They widen it a little bit because it feels like frighteningly narrow when someone was trying to do like a suicide dive or tope because the ringside area is very narrow and then the ramp is very narrow.
I think they let the entrance breathe a little bit. That's what I think it is. Good. But otherwise, thematically, atmospherically, however you want to describe it, it's still NXT 2.0. They ditched the 2.0. I kind of want to fast forward 6 months and see where they're at recruitment wise and just how much they're going to be pushing the NXT UK people. Another episode, I believe. I know I was speedrunning a bunch of this, but I didn't notice Mako there again. But we did get a pretty tremendous Ilya package.
Yeah, that was really good.
I can't get my hopes up. I'd love to see him dethrone Braun Breaker in this triple threat. I get the feeling that whoever dethrones Braun is going to be a true dethroning because he's had the title now for a while. He's been the guy basically for the duration of 2.0. I don't remember if Tyler, besides being in the Ilya video package, if Tyler Bate was on the show. So yeah, I don't know. It's NXT. It's still just half the characters I just have no desire. I can't get into much at all. So yeah, I mean, we had the Brawling Brutes on the show last night, which I don't even know why they were there to challenge. I mean, I know they're there.
They didn't really explain. Oh, it's because Pretty Deadly took to social media, I think, to talk crap about Sheamus.
Oh, okay.
That's what they kind of said in the opening segment.
So they just wanted them there. So they're like, I don't know, tweet about them. Yeah. You do what everybody does. Tweet about it these days.
Exactly. I mean, even though like the weekly show is kind of hit or miss, Halloween Havoc is shaping up to be a pretty solid card.
Yeah. That triple threat's going to be really good. That triple threat match, the ladder match is going to be really good. I mean, you got Von Wagner in it, but otherwise everybody else is really good.
Why couldn't they just have Andre Chase win that belt?
He's really over. Oh, but he's not in the match. He's not in the match. Yeah, they got Von Wagner instead. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they like Von Wagner. I don't, and I don't even know if they really do. But they do enough to like have him get to the precipice of doing something.
And then he doesn't do it, and then they kind of bring him back down the card a little bit, and then they, again, on the precipice, then bring him back down.
One of the bigger feuds of the show, of course, is Diamond Mine. Now there's a big stipulation. Julius and Damon Kemp are going to be throwing hands. Is that going down at Halloween Havoc? Yeah, that's Halloween Havoc.
Yep.
But now the stipulation is if Damon Kemp wins, Brutus gets kicked out of NXT. So, you know, the brother is fighting for the brother. Dude, is this they're not splitting the creeds.
No.
They're not splitting the creeds,
Not
are
at
they?
all.
Julius
No.
is the guy, though. Julius is the guy. You don't think there's going to,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know.
Shawn Michaels is like, if we could have done the barbershop segment a year earlier. You know? You don't think that's going to be the case?
No, not at all. No, Julius is winning this.
Yeah,
Brutus
it's a fun
isn't leaving
conversation to
NXT.
have, though. So, yeah, I don't know. We can just sort of dive into it, I guess.
Sure,
Because there's
sure.
a
So
lot
the
going on this week.
Yeah, I mean, they pack a lot in 2 hours. So the show opened up with Pretty Deadly. They're dressed in some ceremonial garb. And there's a podium in the ring.
Yeah, they're like
They got
like
the powdered wigs on and all that.
yeah, the powdered wigs. They're like that's how they still do the judges in England.
Yeah.
They still put the powdered wigs on.
Yep. And so they say we're here to address the NXT Commonwealth. And then they compare their journey to NXT to the journey of the Pilgrims.
Yeah.
They say we're at the top of the tag division as 2-time tag champs, ruling over it with complete impunity. They're on the search for new number 1 contenders, but they've already beaten everyone. They have no choice, so they decree that since they don't have a challenger in sight, they be awarded the tag titles forever.
That brings out the Brawling Brutes. Ridge says, yeah, you sounded pretty tough on social media, Pretty Deadly. So we're out here tonight to see how tough you really are. And Dunn says, are there any objections to us kicking Pretty Deadly's heads in? And then
I'm
that
pretty sure
objection
Pretty
is
Deadly objected, but the crowd did.
right. That objection was
Everybody just said bruiserweight.
denied or sustained or whatever. Yeah, everybody just said bruiserweight. Yeah, and then Pretty Deadly claimed that they were hacked by Kevin Nash, which was pretty clever. And then Kevin Patrick and Kevin Owens, and then the Brutes storm the ring. Say Pretty Deadly just talk about how gritty they are. All we ask is that you prove it. Butch says it's fight night. And then a brawl breaks out, and the Brutes send Pretty Deadly out of the ring.
Yep. Earlier in the day, Toxic Attraction arrive at the Performance Center, and SUV, GG, and JC get out. They're basically immediately attacked by Alba Fire, and then Alba gets in the car, and then it drives off with the idea that Mandy's still inside.
But clearly she was not. Otherwise, they would have shown her on camera. I wonder where Mandy was. She's on vacation. Who knows?
Day off, Steve.
yeah.
Day off.
Yeah. After that, we had Carmelo Hayes versus Oro Mensah. Does the fact that Carmelo won this mean anything for Oro Mensah? I don't think he's got a shot at that. No, why would you have your new North American champion lose this match if Oro Mensah, let's say they wanted Oro Mensah to win the North American match, the ladder match? I don't think they're going to have him lose here. I think it's sort of
he wouldn't even been a match
disqualifies
against
him.
Carmelo Hayes. Yeah.
Right. I think this sort of takes him out of the equation, doesn't it?
It might mean that Oro might get a spot in the match that costs Mello the title at that moment. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So Oro's going for his finish, the corner spinning heel kick. Trick gets Mello out of the way. He eats the kick, and then Mello hits Oro with the code breaker, follows with a top rope leg drop to get the win. Afterwards, Carmelo goes to commentary, puts on a headset, and says, people were saying that I was on a losing streak. Losing streak where? He says, while Trick's getting medical assistance, I'm going to stay out here and see who's going to be in my ladder match.
Yeah.
Because the next match was Chase versus Von Wagner.
Before we got to that, we have a trainer checking out Brutus. Brutus is like, I'm fine. And Julie says, no, trainer needs to look at you to make sure you're clear. Trainer's like, this dude's not clear. He's all messed up.
Yeah, dude, his whole back is bruised up.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess. So Duke Hudson steps in. He asks who's crying. Julia says, leave. Duke says, I just wanted to see what 10 chair shots to the back looks like. And Julia says, you know what? If you don't step off, I'm going to give you more than 10. And I'm going to see you in the ring tonight. This goes on a little bit longer with Brutus trying to get up and attack Duke. But, that just led to a match tonight.
Yep. Then we got Andre Chase versus Steve's favorite wrestler, Von Wagner. Dumpster champ. So Chase is working over Von's leg pretty effectively.
Hey, college man.
Yeah. And then eventually Robert Stone gets on the apron to distract. Instead, he gets body slammed by Thea Hale on the floor. And so Chase is like distracted by all that. Vaughn blasts him in the back, looking for a slam of some sort. Chase lands on his feet, rolls up Vaughn, gets a 2. He really should have won there. But then Vaughn hits a boot in his finisher to get the win. Then we cut back to commentary with Carmelo giving his take on the winner, and Wesley just flies in.
It was great because he did it right on cue when Carmelo was saying, this ain't going to be Oro's match. It's not going to be Chase's or Von Wagner's match. It's not going to be, and it sure isn't going to be that lump Wesley. And right when he's saying his name,
flying in.
He just comes flying in out of nowhere. That was cool. Yeah,
that was great.
The bunch of refs come out to break it up. After that, backstage, we've got Chill Sangha watching what's going down with Nathan Frazier. And Sanga's like, he's reflective. He's like, man, it should be me out there. He says, but I lost to Von Wagner, and now Von Wagner is going to Halloween Havoc. And Frazier says, yeah, man, you know what? I went down early 1-0 to Axiom, thinking I could go down 2-0 and lose, but I blocked out all the negativity. I tied it up at 1-1, and I got a good chance to win next week and go to that ladder match. And Sangha says, well, you know what, man? If I can't win that North American title, I hope you do. And Frazier's like, oh, man, thanks. I feel like $1 million now. And then Veer comes. Veer steps up, and they just share a knowing glance, man.
Yep.
That's going to be if Veer sort of adopts the, Chill Sanga's thing.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that, man.
I don't want to be a thing where Veer comes in and be like, hey, where's your intensity, Sangha?
No, I don't want that.
I don't want that. Chill Sangha is great.
I want Sangha to be like, what were you doing out there, coming every week and being all intense?
You should say, exactly. All that intensity on the main roster, what'd it get you? You're back here with me.
Nothing.
Let's be chill.
You need to focus. Be chill. After that,
then we got a quick Lash Legend promo. She just said, she said, I dropped Wendy Chu's ass before. I'm going to do it again tonight because they have a match.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Grayson Waller outside the Performance Center. And he's telling security, you have one job. Make sure they have no visions of Apollo Crews.
Yeah, man. That's probably what Tony Khan said to security. Hey, you guys got one job. No visions of Andrade. And then he snuck around. Andrade put on some
man, for all I know, he said to him, hey, you got to check in with me before you do anything at the show.
That dude,
check in with me. And Andrade's like, yeah, thumbs up emoji.
Andrade got on Jose's shoulders, put on a trench coat.
There we go.
They snuck into the place, dude. Oh, man. Anyways, after that, we had Wendy Chu versus Lash Legend. Wendy Chu got the win here. Lash was looking for a corner pump kick. Wendy evaded that, kicked Lash in the leg, followed with a top rope splash to get the win. Wendy Chu is pretty over. She's one of the ones in NXT that I really like. And even, I'll be honest, Lash Legend's been at it for a year. She's improving. Like her promo, I know was short, but got more confidence. It's not bad stuff. I think she's coming along. It's going to be a little while, but I think she's coming along. After that, we had a Wesley interview, and he's like, this wasn't a statement tonight. It was a receipt. And he was really hurt by it. He was like, man, Melo really tried to crush my skull in the locker and end my career. He says, but I'm going all out for the North American title. I'd be lying if I didn't say I wanted to get my hands on Melo. And then Stack steps in. He says, oh, that's the real Wesley. You're ruthless. You hit Don's PCL. The rest of his body went the other way, and his PCL went this way. And Wes says, man, I said I didn't want to win the match that way. And he said, you did it on purpose. Your actions have consequences.
Yeah, they have a match next week, I believe.
Yep.
Then we got a Gallus video package, and they talk about being suspended. But they'll be back soon enough. Apparently, Mark and Wolfgang, they're going after those tag titles because they call out Pretty Deadly. And then Joe calls out Braun Breaker. Says, when we get back, it'll be what?
Gallus Boys on top.
Boys on top.
They should bring their talk show back, Gallus Boys on Talk.
Gallus Boys on Talk.
What's going on with No M Dar?
I don't know.
I
miss Supernova Sessions. It was such a fun show.
Sessions, exactly.
That's how talk show segments should be done.
I know.
There's charm. There's chemistry.
That shit was so good.
It was awesome.
Yeah. After that, we had a Katana Chance and Caden Carter video package.
I actually quite like this because it seemed very genuine.
What are they now? I'll be honest with you. I sort of fast forward through a bunch of this.
So it was just talking about their respective backstories, where Carter's like talking about how different they are and how she wanted to be a wrestler since she was little, whereas Katana, she's a gymnast, did the American Ninja Warrior stuff, and then 5 years, and then she had her WB tryout, and then she fell in love with pro wrestling. But then she also talked about the time where she had to step away. And during that, it was then that she realized that her and Caden shared the same goals, and then they were on their mission to get the tag titles. And then Carter there's like a really good moment where Katana's talking about stepping away, and like Carter just reaches out and it's like touches her shoulder or something. It just felt genuine and real.
All right, that's cool.
And then like Katana's response, like, "Oh, see, I knew you were." I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was not. It was like a joking little thing, but also very genuine. It was pretty well done.
That's good.
So yeah, check it out.
All right.
Well, they did more in this one video package to flesh out their characters than anything else they have done.
I mean, that's the thing. They've already been through like 8 different gimmicks, so I still need to go back and watch Madison Rain say entertainers.
That was great.
After that, we had JC Jane and Gigi Dolan versus Team Cronus, Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons. Team Cronus got the win here. With Lyons hitting that split pin on Gigi.
I don't get why Zoe, she hits her finish. Could have pinned Gigi right then and there, but takes the time to go tag in Nikita so she can do the split pins thing to get the win. Like I feel like Zoe Stark finish is like more than effective enough to get the win right then and there.
Yeah, but they love that Nikita Lyons pin. Like that's like a featured attraction, dude.
Yeah, I know.
That's a featured attraction. Like, I get it. I get it. But I see what you're saying. But I get why they do that, man. After that, we had a really nice Ilya Dragunov video package.
Yeah, this is well done, too.
Frustrated I wasn't the one to unify the UK and NXT titles. He says, opportunities like that happen once in a lifetime. He says, I can't change the past, but I can change the future. He says, Braun is a great champ, but he's a man at Halloween Havoc. Braun's facing a machine. He says, I leave every ounce of myself in the ring, including days, weeks, and months of my career. He says, that's something J.D. McDonough talks about, but doesn't possess. He says, he'll suffer a great deal of pain at Halloween Havoc, but it'll be worth it because I'll be champ. Oh, man.
Yeah, it was really good.
I hope that's the case. I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope that's the case.
Yeah, I hope it's the case, too. So then we got Grayson Waller effect. Talk show. Cora Jade and Roxanne. So Cora and Roxanne are there to talk about their match at Halloween Havoc, and they talk about it. Waller will try to interject from time to time to put the spotlight back on him. At one point, he says, I have 2 scoops. 2 weeks' time, they'll do the pick your poison thing, and they can pick the other person's opponent, and basically the entire WWE roster is eligible, not just NXT.
Yeah.
And then second, their match at Halloween Havoc's would be spin the wheel, make the deal, which is great. But then he went and spun the wheel there rather than waiting for Halloween Havoc. So he spun the wheel, or he's about to, but there's like a mannequin there with a hood on, like a Grim Reaper type thing. And he's worried that's going to be Apollo Crews. So he checks it out. It's not. So he spins the wheels, a weapons wild match. And then brawl breaks out in the ring between Cora and Roxanne. Security's in there trying to break that up. And Waller's on the floor watching it. He's on the floor. He's in the corner watching it on streaming it on Instagram Live. And while he's streaming, he knows it's on his phone that Apollo Crews is on the floor. So Crews pulls him out of the ring and then pulls him under the ring. And then when Waller reemerges from under the ring, his eyes are all bloody and his pants are all ripped up.
Yeah. Oh, geez. What a mess. There was like a cat under there.
Yeah.
So after that,
somehow a feral cat got into the PC and it was under the ring.
It's like that scene in fucking Talladega Nights when Will Ferrell has to get in the car. It's got like a Jaguar in it or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to get in there, Dad. Got to get in there, son. After that, Schism is yelling at that lady in the red hoodie and the yellow mask. And, what's his face? Gibson's like, do you know how difficult it is? We're trying to do our mission. Our mission is just to pass out buttons. He's like, you should be concentrating on this mission. Like, they're just these little smiley buttons. Who cares?
I know. You can go to probably a dollar store and get them.
And yeah, exactly. And Gacy's like, we're not mad. We're just disappointed. You need to do better. And then we had Julius Creed versus Duke Hudson. This is pretty quick. Creed won with his sliding clothesline. Quick. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. So Brutus comes to ringside. He attacks Duke. Brutus tosses Duke in the ring, hits some ground and pound. Julius gets him off. Brutus goes right back to it. And then Damon Kemp shows up on the platform. He congratulates Julius on his win tonight. He says things are going to be a bit different at the Halloween Havoc. And Brutus says to Kemp, get down here, I'm going to beat your ass. And then Kemp says, you had your match. Now it's your brother's turn. And Julius says, I'll be my brother's keeper. He says, you're too arrogant. You can't wait. Or he said, I can't wait. And Kemp's like, he says, you'd be arrogant too if you were this talented. He says, you might be your brother's keeper, but your brother's my bitch. He says, I'm so confident that if you win at Halloween Havoc, I'll give Brutus another match under one condition. He says, I got things I want to accomplish around here, and I can't do that with Brutus all over the place. So if you lose, Julius, Brutus got to leave NXT. And then Brutus is like, he accepts. And Julius thinks about it. He's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. He says, I don't like to be cold-hearted, but when the circumstances call for it, I got ice in my veins. He says, it's not going to be good enough to pin you or submit you. He says, I got to send you out of here the same way you sent Roderick Strong out. It's going to be an ambulance match. So, yeah, it's going to be an ambulance there.
Just a full month of WWE gimmick match paper.
Oh, so many stipulations.
You got that right. Then we had a JD McDonough video package. He's like watching a bunch of different video screens. A bunch of different stuff happening. He says, Braun and Ilya are the same. They're going to go out there and see who is the toughest. He says, I'm going to let them tear each other apart because of Halloween Havoc. The smartest man is going to walk away champion.
That I know is not going to happen. It's not going to be Jordan Devlin,
Yeah, it's not going to be.
After that, we got Seth Rogen, Hank Walker getting a pep talk from security. I still don't have any wrestling gear here. What's up with that? I've got these fucking jeans on. So he's got his first match as a contracted NXT wrestler.
Yeah.
His buddies give him a little bit of shit. They're all joking around like, oh. And then Quincy Elliott steps in. He's like, hey, Hank, watch out for Zion Quinn because I kind of pissed him off last week. So yeah. Then Hank is like, oh, I gotta go fucking get ready for my match. Then we have an Axiom promo. Fool's wearing that same turtleneck that he did when he was clearly a kid.
Yeah, I know.
Except he has that mask on.
I know.
He's like, next week is a final match and best of 3 with Frazier. The first 2 matches were so close they could have gone either way. I expect this one to be closer.
And you try to make an analogy between like comic books and this story and how he gets to write the final chapter and this one or something like that.
You know what they should do? They should wonk that finish and send them both to that ladder match because they'd both make it better.
Yeah, that's true.
Get Von Wagner out of there. That's what you should do.
You got that right. Zion Quinn versus Hank Walker next. So Zion gets the win here after sidestepping a corner boot, kicks Hank in the leg, and then hits a flying forearm for the finish. And then Zion is looking for another of those forearms, and then Quincy Elliott comes to the ring to make the save.
And he gives Seth Rogen a big pat on the booty. Oh, that was pretty cute, but like, what the fuck? It's funny because Wade Barrett was talking about this too. Ring gear, just young lion attire, a singlet, something.
I know.
It looked like last week it worked, or 2 weeks ago it worked because it was like, oh, it's an impromptu thing. He's not ready.
Exactly.
This doesn't make any sense.
I think they just like the moment where he gets like fired up and takes his shirt off. I think. That's it.
I know, and he's got like the sort of the everyman dad bod thing going, which is cool, but like, I don't know if it doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing it?
Yeah, I know.
But it's kind of like the Nikita Lyons thing. It's like, yeah, they wanted that cool moment, and he's going to be the everyman. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, he can still be everyman and still come to the ring in like wrestling attire.
Well, that's the thing about Kevin Owens. He wears fucking literally what I wear during the summertime: sleeveless shirt and basketball shorts.
Same. Then Cameron Grimes, he's backstage. He walks up to the woman in the red hoodie and says to her, "You don't have to deal with Grimes." And while he's making his case that she doesn't have to deal with Grimes, with Gacy, Schism attacks. Drake, what's his name now?
Jagger Jagger Reed?
Yeah, whatever. It's James Drake. Hits him with a garbage can, then Joe Gacy takes it and he blasts Grimes over the back with it, and he tells the woman in the red hoodie, "Job well done. Welcome to Schism's tree."
Jagger Reed and
Rip Fowler. That's Gibson.
Thank you, Rip Fowler.
I know Rip Fowler.
I'm surprised I even knew one of them.
Yeah, I'm impressed too.
After that, we had the Brawling Brutes in the locker room. Briggs and Jensen step in to wish them good luck, and they're like, "Hey, man, we'd like a shot at those titles if you win those tag titles." And then a No Fame Blade walk in. They say the exact same thing. And Ridge is like, "Let me guess, you wanted a first shot of the titles." And Briggs is like, "Hey, get in line. Everybody's arguing." And then Butch starts hitting the wall with a chair. Ridge tells Briggs and Jensen, "If you guys want a shot of the title, you got to bring that same aggression you brought against Gallus. And then you two and No Fame Blade, you need to get serious." Yeah.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker interview. Jordan Devlin and Ilya can train as much as you want. Halloween Havoc's going to be a dog fight. And then Javier Bardell steps in and asks, "Why would you make the match at Halloween Havoc a triple threat? Same time a match where you lost the title." He's like, "How are you?" He's "My temper got me in that first triple threat. My pride got me into this one. Xavier, your stupidity is going to lead you to requesting a match against Bardell next week."
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to fucking annihilate Javier Bardell next week.
Javier Bardell is going to get wrecked, just annihilated. Then we got our main event,
Why
Brawling
you
Brutes
named
versus
after Car Oil?
Brawling Brutes versus Pretty Deadly. This is a fun bout. Pretty Deadly got the win. So at one point, Elton Prince, takes a swing at the ref to just get himself DQ'd.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the ref ducks that, so then Pete Dunne sends him out of the ring. Brawling Brutes hit their finisher on Prince. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so Giovanni Vinci runs. I don't know how they can knock Prince out of the ring and they hit their finish on them. Bad note taken from old Larson here. So then Giovanni Vinci runs to ringside to distract Ridge while he's like in the midst of, like he's delaying to cover him because Vinci's supposed to run out for the distraction. Pete Dunne's like, "Cover him. What are you waiting for? Cover him." He finally does, or he's about to, and then he's distracted by Vinci. Pete Dunne slides out of the opposite side of the ring to go after Ludwig. So eventually Prince rams Dunne into the apron, and then back in the ring, Pretty Deadly hit Ridge with spilled milk to get the win.
Just for old time's sakes, I would have loved to see Vici go. Yeah, and Vittorio.
Yeah,
Oh, man. Anyway.
Sadly, I don't think we're going to see that ever again, Steve.
I know. We only got a couple of weeks of it.
Oh, it was more than that. It was like a month, maybe.
What a bummer. We got a couple questions here. We got a couple minutes left.
We do.
Timur Rockman asks, what does Von Wagner have to do for you guys to do a full 180 on him? It's all character stuff. Some self-awareness, some definition as to who he is and what his motivations are. A little bit of comedy thrown in, and then I'll probably be good.
If he actually embraced the dumpster champ aspect of things and got
I'd go 1,000% in on him. Yeah, you're right. You're right. If he was
then the self-awareness level there is off the charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm the dumpster champ. He shows up eating he's chewing on a banana peel.
Yeah, exactly. Vaughn, what are you doing?
Get my protein in. Get my protein in. I found this by my dumpster.
It's like there's no protein in a banana peel.
He starts licking the insides. You're disgusting, Von Wagner. It's ants on that
Blake. Yeah, that's the protein. There's ants on there.
Yeah, that's where the protein is. I ate a cockroach earlier.
Blake Whitehouse says, with the exception of the New Day, which wrestlers on SmackDown on Raw could you see transitioning to a great commentator if they get injured or step away from competition? There's a lot. Miz, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
God, most of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, really. Any of the
Xavier Woods would be like a next level guy.
Yeah, anybody who's already a really good talker, like we saw with Samoa Joe.
Oh my God,
top tier talker, went to commentary,
seamless,
brilliant at it.
Yeah. Nikyle, who else from main roster not being used should go back to NXT? Give me a program with Mustafa Ali and Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Alex Foster says, am I the only one who doesn't want NXT to sign too many indie talent? He says, as cool as it would be in theory, I don't want it to become like it used to be. So I don't know about anybody else. I can only speak for myself. I like how it used to be because we used to have the buzziest fucking takeovers and really amazing matches and characters that came in with a defined character, and then we got to see them mix it up, and it was all about, oh, who's going to be in the crowd? No, yeah, I don't know about anybody else. I'm about it.
I mean, for the most part, I would prefer that iteration of NXT as opposed to what we got now. But I think... And I understand maybe in the past they might have leaned too heavily on bringing in indie names. Because for a while there, it seemed like it was like the developmental aspect of NXT was basically accounted for like 5% of TV time.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it seemed like by and large it was indie names there being brought in to carry the show. I understand if the goal is they want this new NXT to focus more on the developmental aspect of it. I get that, and I think you can incorporate that aspect into, to a certain degree, what made NXT good to begin with, or NXT 1.0. I just don't. I mean, for me, it's just the stories. You know, it's the stories, and they try to jam, I feel like, too much into every episode.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying we need 3 20-minute awesome 5-star matches every episode. I want variety. But I feel like they're trying to so hard to develop these characters and to try to tell stories, but not a whole lot of it is hitting right now. Maybe it just they simplify things and say, all right, we're going to have 5 matches on the show. We'll give you 3 really good ones. We'll give you 2 with some more developmental talents to showcase their characters and what they can do. You know, you keep the developmental aspect of it, and you highlight still predominantly the best wrestlers on the show, and have some promos and pre-film vignettes to develop character. I just feel like at this point, instead of trying to do more, strip it down, do less.
So
focus on what really is really working, and focus on what's really working for the characters they've developed.
The problem is, dude, number one, you got to start with the wrestling. The wrestling has to be good because there's just too much other stuff. Here's the problem. I'm looking at who was showing up on, and you're right, they packed a lot on TV last night. I'm looking at who's showing up on TV, and it is hugely outnumbered green wrestlers to stellar wrestlers. Like, I don't know. What are we looking at here? I mean, I've never been, I like Pretty Deadly as an act. I think they're funny. They've got charisma. They're okay in the ring. They're like, they're good. They're not like great, but they're good. So I'm fine with them, but I don't know if you look at the rest of them, like, okay, we had Carmelo Hayes versus Oro Mensah. Oro Mensah is a really good wrestler. We both love Carmelo Hayes. Absolutely. Andre Chase versus Von Wagner. You got one of them can't wrestle a lick. Who else? Wendy Chu's a good wrestler. Lash Legend's still learning. What is this? JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, both good wrestlers. Zoe Stark's good. Nikita Lyons is all right. We know what she brings to the table, you know? Grayson Waller is he's just a talk show, and that's boring. Julius Creed, the Creeds are good. Duke Hudson's sort of one-dimensional. Like, maybe, like I said, in 6 months when Axiom's mask is off and Nathan Frazier is getting more TV time, but then you have like Zion Quinn and Hank Walker. Zion Quinn is the veteran there, and he's not good. So, like,
I know.
I do kind of, and then on top of that, your champion is Braun Breaker, and there's no Tyler Bate, there's no Mako Satomura. Gallus is suspended. So maybe if the entirety of the roster has the talent there for that. The problem is they're showcasing to a wide degree the people who don't have those wrestling skills.
Yeah, and that's what I said. You do 3 good matches that showcase, your marquee talent. And you have 2, maybe 3 shorter matches focused on developmental talent. So they're still getting their TV reps. They're still getting their TV time. They're still getting an opportunity to develop characters and grow as performers for a television product, not just at the PC or on the road. Not to say those aren't important, because they are. But they still need that TV time of those reps. But you're not leaning on that almost exclusively, Yeah.
Yeah.
You could even things out a bit more to give us 55% essentially of what made NXT 1.0 great, and then keep 40-45% of what you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean it's likely that they'll do that. I just, when I think of NXT 1.0, it had compelling stories and it had phenomenal wrestling. And right now the stories are not compelling and the wrestling's not phenomenal. And honestly, the stories boil down to Shawn Michaels. The wrestling boils down to the wrestlers. And if you don't load up with wrestlers who know how to tell a story in the ring and who have the characters already set so that you can then springboard stories off to. For all I know, the stories have been shit because Shawn Michaels is like, well, these are brand new characters. I don't even know where to start with these people. Like, oh, you're a college professor or I get the head of a college university or whatever Chase U is.
Yeah.
I get they come out and people, they're over because they do the sign and they're funny. But it's
Andre Chase is really good too.
And he's a really good wrestler, but it's like, how do you tell a story with that level of a comedy act? It's not easy.
Yeah.
I know you could do it. No, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, is it character? Is it stories? Yeah, but stories can sometimes spring from characters who you really understand.
Absolutely.
And the bottom line is the wrestler, the good wrestler to green wrestler ratio is so out of whack in NXT. That's why I'm in favor of them signing up as much really good indie talent. The ratio was before where you'd have 2 matches with developmental people and then 3 matches. That's what it used to be. It used to be 3 matches that are bangers and then a couple that are, quicker developmental matches. That's what 1.0 was. So I say go back to that. Anyway. I mean, I'm fine with the bright set now. It's not the color vomit. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's not. It still seems too bright for me.
It is a bit too bright. They could vary that up a little bit. But it was too dark before.
There's a happy medium there where they can bring the house lights down on 25%.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they rely on LEDs too much. I
feel like with all the bright colors, especially now that it's not the whole variety of the color palette, it's gonna burn in on somebody's TV or something.
Yeah, I know. It's too bright. I don't know what you do about that. I mean, it'd be nice if they
tone
filmed
it down. That's what you do about it.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice if they could film it in a cool location, if they found a neat warehouse somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's essentially what that is a warehouse.
No, I know, and I was just thinking that. I'm like, that's when I went there. That's what it looked like. It was just a warehouse, So I don't know. Maybe just take all the LEDs out of there and just have the bleachers, and then have
get rid of the LEDs on the top of the building with the silhouettes of people and stuff like that. Get rid of that stuff. Just have that dimly lit.
Have a practical stage. Instead of the giant LED board, have some cool shit on the stage. I don't know.
Yeah.
A replica of Stonehenge.
That's good. That's a start.
Yeah.
That's a start. Some old cars.
Right. And they give one away to the audience. Exactly.
Do a giveaway every episode.
Do a giveaway every episode.
But somehow, some way, no one ever wins one.
Yeah, right. No, well, nobody wants it. That's why. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.